Did you know that 87% of real estate agents fail in the first 5 years? Of course you did, because you're a fan of this YouTube channel and my podcast. But did you know the reason that they fail? I'm going to tell you right now, it's because they're playing the wrong game. So if you want to stay in the game and you want to play the long game in real estate and you want to make it a career, stay tuned. I'm going to tell you all about my experience after reading The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Let's go. What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy Kane with the Real Estate Agent Playbook, helping you stay and win every single day at the game of real estate. So if you're here for the first time, hit the subscribe button, throw me the notification bell. I do real estate agent game plan calls for absolutely free, no obligation, where you can dive into your business. 30-minute call with me for free. If you want to do that, check the link below. But if not, subscribe, stick around, become a fan of the show, and we talk about all things winning and the game of real estate. The infinite game is a pretty simple concept that Simon Sinek takes to an entire different level when it comes to business and especially real estate. I would like to compare all of this book and take everything that I learned into the real estate business as I see it from my eyes, but also as I see it from the 150 agents in my organization and the thousands of agents that I talk to and communicate with and collaborate with across the country. So ultimately, it's really about playing the long game, right? Are we in it for the stats? Are we in it for the quick wins? Are we in it for the transaction? Or are we in it for the lifelong relationship? If you know anything about me, the lifelong relationship is 100% why we're here, to help people build wealth through real estate across the board. Sure, when you're just getting started, the quick wins are something that we need to, have straight out of the gate, but turn those quick wins into lifelong wins, to the long game, to an entire career, and you will start to see how easy this is actually to stay in the game, to beat that statistic and be part of the 13%, but better yet, increase the success rate over the 5 years from 13% to 15 to 20. We can do this as long as the mindset is right. And the mindset is the main focus of this book and why I think it's so relevant to us, especially right now in real estate, as things have tightened, transactions have gotten less, and people seem to, either be completely dialed in and, grinding away at, the next transaction, that next relationship, or people are getting desperate out there. And that's something we need to really focus on. All markets are different. I get it. Some people are doing great. Some people are still, living the crazy life. However, with higher interest rates and things like that creeping in, this book came at a perfect time for me. So let's break it down. The finite-minded, the infinite-minded. Essentially, if there's a scoreboard at the end of the game, we know who wins and loses. However, over an entire career, this is played out in sports all the time, right? You have, the GOAT conversations. Is it Jordan? Is it LeBron? Is it Mahomes? Is it Brady? Is it Montana? Right? And if you focus on the singular game, certainly there's other people that would be in that conversation. But when you look at the entire body of work, we can absolutely start to break this down. And the entire body of work is the infinite game. Right? How are you having effect on the team, on the organization overall? How are you having an effect on the community that you serve, the people, your clients overall? Certainly, there's, small wins along the way, but it's a combination of the wins that make for, becoming the greatest of all time as it, pertains to sport. So the finite-minded focus on the competition, the little wins, this or that, the small negotiations, and they oftentimes can really point to that, and they really kind of prop themselves up for that little win or this little win. When the infinite-minded really focus on that long-term relationship, there is no finish line, right? You don't win once you get a client into, their first home. There's so much more, right? Every client that you close can turn into, 7, 8, 10 referrals, not to mention if they're at the beginning of their home buying career, they can become, first-time home buyers, first-time home sellers, move-up buyers, dream home buyers, downsizers along the way. And so if we're just focusing on the win and it's for that one person and, you did that one deal and you got them pushed along, you got them into that home, that's great. But if that's the last time you watch that game, if that's the last time you look at the scoreboard and you're not staying in contact and staying connected, then that's where the finite mindset comes in. You are in that area. change your career by moving to the infinite mindset. Yes, it's a great win. It's a great, thing. You got them into their first home. But how do you continue to play the game? How do you continue to show up in ways that are going to keep the fans raving, keep the fans coming back? And that is right there, 100%, the piece of the real estate business that separates the winners from the average from the losers. So what are some characteristics of moving towards that infinite mindset? Because I'm going to tell you the truth, I was not always there, right? There is obviously something to be said for having to put food on the table, for having to grow, for having to get to that first 6-figure year to feel like you've made it out of the 2-year room. So let's dive into the infinite mindset kind of characteristics. First and foremost, we have just cause over just closing, right? If it's just about that transaction, if it's just about that close, then what, right? As you start to create your workflows and all the things that you're doing and your client experience and client journey, if you need help with that, that's my expertise. You can book a call with me down below. But while you're starting to do this, how are you creating lasting value? How are you separating yourself from the other hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of agents that are in your market? And it's right there in that interpersonal relationship and the value that you can create. What's your expertise? How can you create that value? How is that value going to grow? Because I think a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to do this because, this top producer does it and it's going to be awesome. Okay, even if it's not pertaining to your personality, how are you going to grow that value? How are you going to adapt and change, right? The next piece is worthy rivals over competitors, right? If you are just comparing yourself to be better than that other agent, and essentially a worthy rival is pushing towards collaboration over competition. What is that person offering? What is that person doing? Can you study them, right? That's one of the positives of social media and one of the negatives, right? Are you going to get, imposter syndrome? Or are you studying that opponent so that you can, use some of the things that they're obviously using that work and craft them into your own piece and maybe eventually, supersede what they are doing, right? So this idea of worthy rivals versus competitors is huge, right? There has to be a level of respect. And certainly, I look at the numbers, I want to, be the very best of the best. But if my client experience is affected because I'm trying to sell hundreds of homes, that's where things kind of fall off. So finding those worthy rivals, kind of learning from them, right? Learning from them. And, instead of trying to beat them, you want to, see kind of a form of collaboration. I'm not saying going out there and being like, hey man, let's collaborate. Let's do something cool. Bring me along, ride your coattails. It's not what I'm saying, but using and studying what they are doing as a worthy rival and having that, foundation of respect for what they've done, but understanding that if you tweak and change it and make it your own, you can scale it and eventually, overtake them on that leaderboard that, used to be so important to you. Resilience over stability. This is something that a lot of agents do. They get into it and they're just like, okay, we're going to remain stable. Right now, this is huge with the AI, influx into our industry. And we'll have Adam Gillespie on to talk about AI, in the near future. If you need that right away, check out his YouTube channel. Absolutely phenomenal real estate AI tips. But the best agents definitely adapt and change and grow as the market is changing, as tech changes, as all this stuff changes. The very best agents are adapting and growing. And so these are the infinite mindset kind of characteristics, right? Resilience over stability, worthy rivals over competitors. So when we're talking about the infinite game and the mindset that Simon Sinek, kind of goes through, first and foremost, it's just cause over just closing. Then it is worthy rivals over competitors. Then it is resilience over stability. And I think those are very important things to kind of focus on. And at first, you have to lay the groundwork. You have to get your foothold. I get it. But if you see this past, the next transaction from the very beginning, your career will take off and scale much quicker. So let's take you back to kind of my career and when I saw that transformation from finite-minded to infinite-minded after reading this book. Certainly, it was after probably 18 months I'd been in the business. I had had my first full year in the business, which was a 6-figure income year for me, which was really cool, right? I had gotten in the business from being a teacher. My first 6 months, I made $60,000. Then my first full year, my first full calendar year into it, I had made six figures. And that was kind of, okay, like here we are, we've kind of established a foundation. Now, how can I take these relationships and continue to grow them? And by this time, I had start to see how I took care of people in my past relationships and all of the things in my sphere of influence that people say, it's only good for so long. Well, the truth is, it's only good once you get into it and you start to, serve that sphere. And once I started serving and that sphere started connecting me with their sphere and so on, it became an entire web, an entire sphere web of connections and me connecting people and other businesses and all the things with a heart to serve, where it really kind of clicked for me, where I really made that transition from those short-term relationships, the transactions to get to that financial goal that I had, to my goal is all about these long-term relationships and connecting and making sure that people have the very best HVAC person, the very best, lawn maintenance person, and all the things that I could do to put together an entire army of absolute amazing professionals to connect with each other, to connect with my clients, to serve me and my, family's home, all of those things. And when it became that long-term relationship focus, it absolutely had that transition to the infinite mindset, right? I was no longer worried about putting, meals on my family's plate, because I trusted the process. I trusted that if I serve and I, had that go-giver mentality, another great book, by the way, that I would continue to be, to advance in this. And it wasn't just a transaction to get me that one step closer to six figures. It was that one relationship and that one conversation that I could focus on to bring absolute amazing value because of, the experience that I had and the army of, absolute amazing business professionals that I had built. So then as that kind of goes, you now have small business owners, you now have past clients, you now have all the people that know, like, and trust you from your entire life, all starting to refer you business. And then, the main reward when you're first getting started is, have a VIP client event, have something that you can do to thank them within the laws and all the things. Every state's a little bit different, but the number one thing you can do is absolutely serve that referral to the very best, because the last thing you want to do is at next year's Christmas party when John and Joanne bought a house, they're like, yeah, Jeremy was okay, but he wasn't amazing, right? You want to make sure that you're serving them and that experience is noteworthy for them to go back to that Christmas party and have them raving about the referral and have someone else hear it. And then have another person hear it. And then we're drawn into the conversation, and now you're not even at that Christmas party, but you're the topic of conversation, and now you're the, realtor for that entire, Christmas party, family, friends group, whatever it is. So ultimately, within this book and the way Simon Sinek laid it out, with the stories going back and forth of real life to, talking about exactly what's going on, the psychology behind it all. Real estate isn't a game that you win, it's just a game you keep playing. And if you're able to stay in the game long enough and you're able to serve and you're able to think, okay, this is not about this one transaction, this is about the 15 to 20 transactions that come from me serving this person at the top level, right? It may be a headache of a transaction. They may want to see, 50, 60, 70 houses. I've never had that, but I know people that have, right? It's a complete mindset shift. If you quit focusing on, okay, well, my hourly wage is getting affected here in the short-term win of that closing, and you start to think about, the things that you don't have to chase, right? You're not chasing the next client to win down. You're not chasing that next closing. You're understanding that if you build a business that lasts, if you show up, the best that you possibly can every single day, you will always keep growing and you'll always be there, right? And if you're in the game, you can adapt. If you're not in the game, you're on the sidelines, you're like, okay, I'm just going to get in when it's, an extreme low interest rate and buyer's market. I'm just going to get in when it's this or when it's that. And you kind of play the game, right? You're working that other job. It's pretty cush, but, sometimes, maybe during tax season it goes up or whatever. And then you're just kind of using this real estate thing on the side, but only when it's good. You're just, kind of chasing that next victory and you'll never stabilize. But if you're like, okay, I'm treating this as a business, I'm treating this as a career, every single conversation, every single interaction will absolutely help me take it to the next level. This is something that can absolutely change your mindset looking forward. The infinite mindset, the infinite game is exactly where you need to be as an agent. And as the markets kind of ebb and flow, you can stay, on a stable trajectory, whatever that looks like, instead of having the peaks and valleys, right? I can tell immediately when someone has a conversation with me and they say, oh, it's a peaks and valley business, that they aren't 100% bought into this infinite mindset, to this infinite game that is real estate. So let me know. Tell me exactly where you're at. Infinite mindset, finite mindset, put it in the comments. Let me know how I can help. If you do put finite mindset, I would love to have a conversation with you. If you put infinite mindset, I'd love to have a collaboration with you. Whatever that looks like, I'm here to help on both ends. But I think this is super important as we work every single day to decrease the failure rate. This book was something that came at a perfect time. So if this made you think differently, if you liked what I had to say based on mindset today, please smash that like button. Please engage in the comments. And again, if you ever need anything, please book a Realtor Game Plan call with me. And if you are interested in my course, all of the things are in the comments below to help you win. All of it's there for you, absolute value. And I hope that helps. So we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.